A little background about me. I'm a first generation born Nigerian American. I grew up in Reno, Nevada for some time, did undergrad over there at the University of Nevada, Reno, and then eventually just fell in love with community service and ended up moving out, doing my master's in public health at Emory University. And now I am a PA student at Morehouse School of Medicine. So just been traveling all over the world, kind of all over the US, trying to find my passion in life and realizing that my purpose and my true calling is serving others, whether it's serving through medicine or just serving through just providing support and mentorship. But I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation that we're going to have.
Beautiful. Thank you, girl, for just making time. I know with this being Thanksgiving weekend, I know everyone's hustling and bustling, at least here in the States, trying to get prepared for the holidays and whatnot. So I just want to, again, say I appreciate you being here, and then everyone that is on the call just for taking time to tune in and really just be inspired and encouraged by whatever we're going to be talking about today. And please feel free to write any questions that you may have in the chat as we talk and we just discuss and go deeper into our stories. So please feel free to do so, and don't be shy. And we definitely want to make this something that we can all talk about together. And so I just, again, wanted to just put that out there. So Calbeth, I'm just curious, if you don't mind sharing just a little bit as far as what happened with last year with a loss that you suffered, and who you were before the loss and then who you are now.
Yes, so it was very unexpected, actually. My mom, she was diagnosed years ago with a condition known as sarcoidosis, and it usually attacks your immune system. It's an autoimmune disease, and she lives with it. Honestly, none of us really thought that it would end up being terminal. And last year, I remember just being in Atlanta and getting a call that she wasn't doing well, that she was in the ICU. So this was in March 8th. So March 9th, it was midnight. I took a flight to Reno, Nevada from Atlanta. I went to go see her. And after I saw her, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 hours later, she passed. So it was honestly very shocking. I think I came out of the hospital just speechless, numb. I felt like I was walking like a zombie. I honestly just didn't even know where I was at the moment. I don't even know even how I got home at that moment. And I think before then, I felt like I had everything in place in my life. I felt like I knew where I was going. I felt like I had the support of both my parents, my family, my friends. And then after that, I just kind of felt just lost, everything I had worked hard for, everything that I wanted, in regards to my family life, in regards to just, having my mom around, all the time with everything that I do, being physically present. I felt like it just all went down the drain for me. I think everyone hits points in their lives when they're going through an up and down battle with just happiness and sadness. And it's very natural, but I felt like I was just stuck. I couldn't get out of it for months on end. And I think during that time, I'm very spiritual, or I've worked towards becoming more spiritual in my life. But during that time, I honestly just kind of lost connection with just people per se, and more so was looking within myself to build strength for me to continue going on. Because I honestly just didn't feel like I could ever move, or I just didn't feel like even going through life knowing that my mom wouldn't physically be around to support me and be there for me, and me as well for her. And I think during that time that I was honestly just reflecting about life in general and the true meaning of life, I started building up strength to kind of push myself to continue moving forward and push myself to realize that life still exists, and it should be more meaningful than from the time you've lost somebody. It's going to be quite different from the time that you wake up and realize this person's no longer part of your life. And it's helped me learn more ways to cope, and it's helped me see the beauty of life, actually, and realizing that yes, this person's not physically around anymore, but at the end of the day, like I'm still here and I'm still present, and I'm going to do my best to live out this purposeful life that I've always imagined to have for myself, while still having this person that's been, one of my backbones, while still keeping that person in my memory and in my spirits. So the person I was before my mom passed, definitely focused, but the person I am right now is living a life of purpose. And yeah, if that answers your question.
That was beautiful. I love that. Before, I mean, you said you felt more focused, but now it's like, okay, you're living a life of purpose. And what I've noticed from many people is when they do go through a heavy loss like this, many people do feel like they're on this track, they're on this path, and they have that focus. And what's interesting is what I found, and you touched on this as well, is a lot of times we can have focus, but we may not necessarily be living a life of purpose. And we may be focusing on things that don't necessarily adhere to what our purpose is, like why we're here, what we're doing, what we're contributing, not only to our personal world, but our community and then the entire world in general. And so I love that you feel like now you're truly living a life of purpose. And what I'd love to know is, what exactly does that mean to you when you say you're living a life of purpose? Like, what does that look like for you now?
I think back prior to my mom's passing, I was living a life that was filled with me wanting to obtain all these different things. I wanted to be at the top of everything. I wanted to travel. I wanted to just explore life, which I still want to do all those things. But at the end of the day, it still feels empty thinking about that. I think more so now is I've truly enjoyed giving and supporting other people. Like, it brings me true happiness doing that. And it could be just a simple conversation, checking up on friends. I remember like this past weekend, like I just felt or sensed that when my friends, something was bothering them, and I just reached out to them, and they're like, thank you, because you just made my day, because for the past 2 weeks I've been just struggling. And that makes me feel just really full. It makes me feel as if there's a reason why I'm here, and there's a reason why I should continue to still be here. And I think that alone just brings me joy. Like, everything that I've ever wanted before kind of just gets thrown out the window when I think and resonate with that more. And so that's how I would define purpose. It's just living for others, truthfully, doing the best that you can do for yourself, and not worrying about what other people think about you, or what others feel like you should be, but just being at peace with who you truly are at this moment in time, and being okay with it.
I love that. And knowing that you're at a place where you're at peace with who you are and where you're at in your life, I think there's something definitely to be said of that, because when most of us, as we know, when we go through a heavy loss and we're going on our grief journeys, it's very unique and individualistic to everybody. Everyone reacts differently, and there is no set time limit. And so I love that you've been able to find peace within yourself and you're at that place. I would love to actually ask you a question that came in from a friend. So he mentioned dealing with losses, especially if it's a family member, is definitely one of the most emotional roller coaster rides to go through. Like, some people have a hard time coping with losses, and they kind of fall deeper into a black void because they feel too vulnerable to open up and to seek help or guidance of some kind. And then there are others that try to keep themselves from falling deeper into a void, and they want to persevere, and they don't want the loss to control their entire life. But that doesn't mean that you forget about the one who's passed. And so what he wanted to ask is, what was truly the driving force that helped you rekindle your mind, spirit, and body to not only persevere through the loss of your family member, but to also help you prevent yourself from falling deeper into a void? And so I know you mentioned that you're very spiritual, and that has really come into play. So would you say that your spiritual roots, as well as some other things, have helped you stay out of this void? If you wouldn't mind sharing that.
Yeah, it's definitely Me, like I said, I'm Christian, so turning to God more, but also um, being okay with letting other people know that you're not doing okay. There's times where it's like I'm going and I'm going and I'm going and going. There's times where it's just like, today is just a terrible day, and I don't mind calling like one of my friends and saying like today is just so bad for me. Like I just need somebody to just talk to me. So it's being that vulnerability aspect of it is definitely key. I think for me, when my mom passed, I had my dad to take care. I'm the oldest, so I had my dad to watch over and make sure he was okay. And then I have three other siblings, younger siblings, and making sure that they're okay, and planning her funeral and her wake and everything else, and making sure they're good. My parents, they had a family business together, so I had to take over that. So making sure our family was sustainable, that was like literally the only thing in my head. I didn't have time to process anything. I don't think my mom passed in March. I don't think I fully started like going through the state of depression until maybe October, because it was that same year that I had turned 30. And so I was still in this high of like, being 30, new age, and I just didn't have time to really process my emotions until like probably in October, like late October, when it was like the week before my mom's birthday, that it just kind of hit me hard. I remember just spending like 1 or 2 months just literally in bed. I would come out to eat, of course, do other things that I need to do. But I'd go straight to bed and just cry all the time. But I think that very moment, I had to realize that I had to be vulnerable, because I wouldn't let other people see that I was, sad or depressed, because I felt that if I showed some sign of weakness, it would kind of discredit me as a person, especially being the oldest, and everyone looks up to me and everyone's needing me for support. Even with my mom's passing, like my own friends, I was basically helping them through my mom's passing. And it was so weird for me. This was the earlier stages, and they're like, you're not crying, you're not. And I'm like, I just don't have time. I don't have time to cry. I have to get things, done. And so I was giving them support when they were crying about my mom's death. I just felt like I had to be like that, because everyone depended on me. And I've always been very strong and not asking people for help. So it took me time to realize that, no, like I really, really, really need people right now in order to continue to go and move forward. So it's definitely the vulnerability, letting my guard down, letting this shield I've had for so many years just kind of shatter in order for me to feel supported, honestly, by others. So I would definitely say, definitely yes, my spirituality, but honestly, more than anything, being vulnerable with other people, letting them know that, I need support, and I don't know how long I'm going to need support, but I just need you to be here when I need you.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. I know many of us, we struggle with asking for help and showing that vulnerability, because I feel a lot of times our society has put us into this mindset, this mentality that if you do ask for help, if you do show any vulnerability, then it's weakness, so to speak. But I feel like when it comes to loss and grief, and that can really be anything. I mean, that doesn't only have to pertain to the loss of a family member. That can pertain to the loss of a job, loss of a home, loss of self-identity. So many of us have these emotions that come up of like shame and guilt and embarrassment, and what are people going to think, and just everything that you've been saying since this conversation started about not really caring about what other people have to say, but also showing your vulnerability and allowing yourself to ask for that help. I think there's a lot to be said in that too, because I think we as humans, we want to help others. We want to know how we can assist and guide and really help uplift and build someone up. And so it's nice to hear that, in addition to just your spiritual religious background, how it also helped to just reach out to people. And that way, for those that are on this call and those who would like to share it with other family members and friends, just letting people know that it's okay to ask for help and to show that vulnerability, and it doesn't make you less than. And if anything, that really puts the power in your hands. It puts the power back in your life to be able to move forward. And I'll have something from Kevin, who's on the chat, and he just said that he feels this is such an awesome testimony and journey to a start to recovery. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for sharing that. We appreciate that. With the holiday season coming up, especially with this being Thanksgiving and then with Christmas, I know this can be a really challenging time for people, whether someone has recently lost somebody or even months or years have passed. A lot of times, a lot of challenging emotions can come up. So I'm just curious for you, what activities do you normally do to still honor your mom? And especially when the holidays come up, are there any particular practices or rituals or activities that you do to just help keep her memory alive, especially during the holiday season?
Yes, I know last year I couldn't even do anything. So it was still very painful to even celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas or even New Year's. But this year, I think I told myself that I wanted something different. I feel like, during this time, it's definitely going to still be painful, but I know that I really want to have more of a family unit, and realize that even without the physical presence of my mom, like I still don't want to dismantle this, bond that I've had with everyone else in my family, including my dad and my siblings. So it's definitely just coming together and enjoying Christmas like we've always done, in the past, and just, maybe talking more about my mom's memory and, certain things that she would have done during the holidays and things like that. I think even now, last year was just painful to even bring up her name, but now it's like, my dad now, even though it took him almost a year to finally start talking about her. But now it's in more so like, oh, you remember when your mom used to do this or do that? And it's not like of mourning. It's more like, oh, remember when she used to, very casual conversation. So I definitely want to continue that as I don't know if you would even consider it tradition, but just keeping her memory alive through all celebrations, whether it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, any other type of celebration going on in each of my in my life, and as well as in my siblings and my dad's. So definitely working towards keeping her memory alive and just still continuing on with all the other traditions that we've had with her.
Was there a particular holiday or tradition that your mom definitely loved and always loved to do that you still want to carry, that definitely makes you feel closer to her as well?
Her tradition is her birthday. That's her tradition.
What would she like to do, or what would happen?
Literally call you. She'd call you like a month, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before her birthday to ask you, did you get me anything? It was just like this chain message that she would send to not just me, like everyone. I think she would even cut out like pictures of things that she liked and like would place them everywhere so that we literally knew what she wanted for her birthday. So I think still keeping things like that around, definitely. I'm not close to home at this point in time, but for her birthday, definitely doing things that she would consider. Instead of calling her, maybe call like all my other siblings and say like, remember when mom used to do this and like do that. Definitely like for this past, her birthday was on October 30th. So this past October 30th, we got on a Zoom call with each other, like with my dad and my sisters, and we were just laughing, and it felt really good because last year, it was just more so like tears and sorrow. So definitely doing a lot more Zoom calls with my family has been really helpful. We have like family, quote unquote, like weekends where we call each other, check up on each other. And that's been really helpful, especially from my dad. Because, the relationship I've had with my mom is quite different from what he's had with my mom. I can't even feel or imagine that pain. That's a different level of pain of losing your spouse that you've literally built this life with. Just seeing him just kind of being happy. And like, I think he told me like, the thing that's really truly having him continue to live on this earth is just having his children around him to support him through this. And so that's brought a lot of joy with me. So just kind of, keeping her memory alive, but also like, being there to support all my siblings and my dad. I think that's a tradition I'm going to continue on with, like not breaking that bond that we've had and just making it stronger. Actually, we've never been this strong ever. Even with my dad, like I've always been like, daddy's girl, but growing up, like I kind of changed. I was more so like so close to my mom. And then now it's like I'm back to being that. Like I call him almost every day, like to check up on him. And we'll just talk about random stuff, and it feels really good to just be on the phone with him for like hours, just talking about like just whatever, but definitely keeping that strong bond with him.
That's beautiful. Your mom sounds very similar to my mom. She would do the same thing where she would about a month or two ahead, and then especially within a week or two before, she'd send out little texts or phone calls and be like, "Hey, just wondering if you did want to get me something. I can send you a list if you're interested." just to kind of let you know. So I could totally relate with that. And that's awesome. But I love that through this, your bond with your family has strengthened so much. And that the fact that you talk to your dad now just about every day, if not every day, and you want to keep with that tradition of just doing those Zoom calls and getting your family on the entire Zoom call and just keeping that connection alive and just continuing to deepen the relationships with your siblings as well as your dad. I think that's beautiful. And, you also touched on something else that, we can go through this loss, but the relationship that we have with that person is going to be so different. Just like the relationship with your mom is daughter to mother, whereas with your father, it's husband and wife. And I mean, the commonality there is definitely that pain, that loss of that person's not there. But again, each person's experience is so unique. And with your dad, knowing that this is the person that he created his life with, and and they created you and your other siblings, and knowing that there is this individualism there, even though you all have lost the same person, I think there's something to be said with that as well, knowing that what you feel is going to be a little bit different than what your dad feels, and even with your siblings, it's going to be different than what your brother or your sister felt.
And sorry to cut you off, but going off of that too, my mom's best friend, she lost her best friend of like more than 20 years, so it's like, that's a different pain for her, so it's like, it's still pain, but it's so individual. Like, yeah. I can't even describe like how my mom's best friend's currently feeling. It's quite different, So yeah, pain is definitely, it doesn't matter who that person is. It's going to be very, very specific and individualistic. So yeah, just something for everyone to consider.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, especially when we're in the depths of our own grieving, it's hard for us to really want to consider other people's feelings because we're so deep in it, and that's okay. And I just want to also address that and say that it's okay to not always feel okay, and to not be sure how to necessarily communicate some of these things with the people that we love and care about, and even when those people are within our own family. And so I wanted to thank you for sharing that. And we got something else from Kevin. So powerful and beautiful as my mother's only child, losing her in 2017. I'm so sorry to hear that, Kevin. It's tough because the support system is a team of one. So healing is possible, as you've shared, by being vulnerable. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kevin. I mean, just knowing that you've also gone through a loss, losing your mother, we just want to give our condolences to you as well. And, something that I also want to share as far as traditions, because like I said, I love that you're going to keep this tradition going with your family with the Zoom calls. As you said, it doesn't matter what holiday, not just, the big ones, but it can be any particular special occasion, Mother's Day, Father's Day, or anything. I know for me, actually, the hardest one for me is probably my birthday, actually. And that's because with my father, because I lost my father and my stepfather last year. So I lost my father to multiple myeloma in July of last year, and then my stepfather to esophageal and stomach cancer 3 months later. So 2019 was definitely very challenging for all of us. But just as you said, you were a daddy's girl too. My dad wasn't still is. He's my hero. My stepdad wasn't too far behind. And something that my dad always did on my birthday every year, is he would always call me at the birth time, when I was born. So I was born at 4:35 p.m. November 17th. And something that I always looked forward to every year was getting that phone call from him. And so on the dot every year at 4:35, he would always call. And when he passed last year, and then my birthday came up in November, I remember that just being one of the hardest months I ever had to go through, because I didn't get a chance to hear his voice. I didn't get that call. And I remember just being in this state of devastation and just wanting something. I'm like, universe, something, someone give me a sign or something. But I think I was just so deep in my pain that I wasn't noticing the other beautiful things that were happening around me. Yeah. And just like what you had mentioned, once some time had passed, it's like, wow, I'm actually more connected with my family. There's an even deeper connection. I'm speaking with my dad more now, like every day. And now that some time has passed also for my family and I made it a point this year when my birthday came to do something different. I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to get that phone call, but that's okay. I'm still going to somehow try to create encouragement and positivity around this event. And actually, a good friend of mine suggested setting an alarm on my phone to go off at that time. And when that alarm goes off, to actually just write a list or vocalize out loud everything I'm grateful for that both of my fathers had done for me in my life. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to not only interrupt any negative thoughts that were possibly going to hit me that day, but also a wonderful way to honor them as well as my life and me being able to live. And so when my birthday came this month, that alarm went off, and I immediately just started just saying everything I was grateful for. And it really put me in a beautiful place. It made me realize, like, wow, there is so much beauty still around me, that even though they're not physically here, all of the gifts that they have blessed me with, the lessons I've learned from them, how to be a great parent, how to stand up for myself, everything that they instilled within me to make me the woman that I am today. I'm like, those are gifts, and those are things that are always going to live with me, and things that I can pass on to other people. And so I just felt like sharing something that I like to do in regards to holding traditions as well, in case that also helps any of you that are on this call as well. And so that's why I was curious to know what you did, Calbeth, because I know everyone's different. Some people are more visual, some people like to try different things. So I just wanted to be able to share that. There was a movie that you suggested that I watch, and I actually watched this last night. And for those of you who are not familiar with this movie, highly, highly, highly recommend it. Especially for those of you that have struggled with a loss or are currently struggling, or if you know of anyone who could benefit from this. And this movie is called Collateral Beauty. And without giving too much away, it really just helps put into perspective how there is still so much beauty around us, even when we're going through a heavy loss. And I don't know if you'd like to share anything about your thoughts on the movie and how you felt with it.
Yeah, I remember, so I think it was 2 months after my mom passed. I was on my way to a conference in Switzerland, and on the plane, the movie like popped up, and I was just kind of curious because it stars Will Smith. I just watched it, and like on the plane, I was like bawling my eyes out. I feel like people were just looking at me crazy, because it really resonated. I remember I was just taking notes on my phone, of just different quotes to kind of help me through it. And I would, like, after I landed, I was just like every day, while I was at the conference, I would just look at my phone for support, because it clicked. It clicked, and like I said, I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to take away from the movie or, give spoilers, but honestly, that's one of the movies that I've watched that actually helped me cope through it. And realizing that, yeah, there's still life. There's still life after death. even when my mom passed, the day that my mom, not the day, the day that she was buried or going to be buried, as we were like leaving the church, another family was coming in for baptism, and someone brought it up. It's like, when there's death, there's always life, and it's the truth, you know. And so definitely trying to not be stuck in this state of mind of just pure pain, but truthfully looking out within yourself and realizing that, you know, I'm breathing, I'm still alive, there's still air in me. And with this, I can do whatever I choose to do with it, whether it's building or even sleeping. That's a pastime of mine. Like I love to sleep, and I'm sleeping, and I'm so happy and grateful that I'm still able to do that and wake up in the morning and just go for a walk or do whatever I choose to do with my time. And I think that's given me so much peace, realizing that, yes, unfortunately, my mom is still not physically here, but I can still feel her around. I truthfully can still feel her all around me. And I think I guess as a conclusion, like, definitely watch that movie, because in one way or another, it's gonna make sense to you. I feel like anybody that's gone through pain, it's gonna stick with them for forever, actually.
I wholeheartedly agree. 'Cause when you mentioned the movie, I was laughing, I was crying, I was everything underneath the sun, just all these emotions that we feel, the roller coaster that we go through when we're going through this journey. Everything was so present, but there was such a beauty in it. And it was a wonderful movie. And so I typed it in the chat for those of you that are interested in it, in case you would like to check it out. So again, it's called Collateral Beauty, and it features Will Smith. And just going back to, like, you know, your education and everything, you know, when you first introduced yourself, with you being in the medical and health field and you wanting to help people, what other things would you like to accomplish within that field?
Like I mentioned, like I said, my purpose is like serving others, and it's everyone. It's anybody within the state I'm in. I'm currently in Atlanta. It's anybody in Nevada, my hometown or my home state. It's anybody across the world, in Nigeria. That's where my family's from. It's anybody anywhere. And so with my educational background, not only am I in school, I also run a nonprofit in Nigeria focused on advancing women leadership in Nigeria. It's called Women in Global Health Nigeria. My main focus in regards to that is just, you know, giving women a voice, especially in Nigeria. Their voice is usually very silenced, but giving that women that power to rise up to, you know, top leadership positions in Nigeria to help others, and, you know, giving them access to improving the lives of others. That's something I'm very passionate about. That's with that. In the US, like my whole passion is working in underserved communities. So like after PA school, I definitely plan on caring for patients in those specific communities, helping them work towards, you know, finding ways to increase their access to healthcare and getting the quality care that they need. So those are all things that have just driven me. And I come back with the whole purpose thing. Like, I don't think I would have ever known that was my true purpose or my true passion without realizing that is my purpose. And that's actually my calling in life. Like everything that I've done from, like, I would say maybe even 10 till now has always been about serving others. That's all I know. And I didn't really realize it, because I would always be in like so many different things, like just, you know, oh, sign me up for this, I'll do this. And I never really clicked on it, or never dawned on me that everything I was doing they're all interconnected in some way or another. And I think I remember writing down, you know, what does all this mean? It always relates to other people, you know? And I think it literally clicked in my head, like, no, like I literally feel like I'm here to help others in whatever capacity. And since then, honestly, I've just been fueled by that to just kind of continue on with that. So yeah, these are all the things that I'm doing. So I think for everyone, definitely just sitting down, reflecting, and just realizing, what is your why are you here? Like, why are you still here? There has to be a reason why you're still here. You know, just really pondering on it. It's a very deep question, but everyone is here for a certain purpose. Like there's no question about it.
No, and that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And if anyone does have any questions or any further interest in wanting to know more about your nonprofit and more of what you do, what is the best way for them to be able to get in contact with you and talk to you more about these things?
My Instagram profile it's public. It's Chika_global PA. I can put it in the chat. And then also, if you'd like to email me, I'm definitely available to connect. Once again, at CCALARIBE@gmail.com, and I will also put that in the chat.
You know, I just want to thank you for making the time today to be here and just share your story. I just really appreciate you being here. You know, I decided to call this the healing journey home, persevering through loss. And I associated a particular hashtag with this, and that was hashtag I am found. And so I would actually love to ask you a question, or I'd love to have you finish this sentence. Like what do you feel, what does coming home to yourself like mean to you?
That's a really deep question. Coming home means being me, being how I choose to be, living for myself, and myself only. I think that's coming home. It just, I know we've talked about, I think one of the biggest concepts within this discussion is peace. Like I don't want anything to disrupt my peace at this point in my life right now. And so that, just knowing that and being okay with and being happy with the person that I am, that brings me peace. So that is my home.
Feeling at peace within yourself. That's beautiful. Yep. I love that. And for those who have struggled or who are currently struggling and still feel a little hesitant about trying to seek help or be in a vulnerable state, what piece of advice would you like to give them today?
Honestly, reach out to others. We are not on this planet or on this earth to be alone or be in solitude. If you're ever at any point in time, even if it's somebody you've never talked to, like, you know, in the beginning, you know, Sarah had mentioned, like, we've known each other since high school, but we barely talked to each other, you know. And I remember that she had made a post about the loss of her father, and I was just going through so much pain during that time. And I was like, you know, the only person that's going to relate to me is somebody that's going through this too. And so I reached out to her on Facebook. I sent her a message, and this last time we spoken was like in high school. That was like more than 10 years ago. And so I'm like, I don't know who she is. Like, it's been over 10 years, but it just resonated in me. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to hit her up and see if she'll even respond. And honestly, this has been like one of the greatest, you know, newfound relationships that I've had with somebody, you know, because we're able to just be open, we're able to cry, we're able to just be vulnerable with each other, and just be joyful with each other, you know. And so I would definitely say that, you know, if there's any point in time where you're just feeling so lost, don't be afraid to reach out to people, because you never know, that person might be your safe haven. You just never know.
Thank you, girl, for sharing that. And let me tell y'all, yes, we have had moments where we're laughing, we're crying, we're cursing, everything underneath the sun, and all that happens in the span of 5 minutes. But there's a comfort there and a safety and such beauty within those moments too, because like Calbeth had said, you know, we can both relate to each other. We can talk about like, hey, this is something my mom used to do, or this is something she said, or like, oh, you know, you just made me think of something my dad would say, or thinks of a joke, or this or that. And the fact that we can relate on that level because we understand what that loss feels like. And even though it's still very unique to our own experiences, you know, we can be there for each other. And I'm so grateful that you did reach out to me when you did, because you're right. I didn't realize then, when I was going through that difficulty, going through my grief journey, that I really, truly just needed someone to reach out and just give a hand and say, hey, I'm here. If you need me to be here, I am here. No judgment. I'm just here. And that meant the world to me, because I really didn't realize how much help I did need. And I almost didn't respond to you. I almost was like, nope, I'm not going to ask for help. I don't want to burden others with my story. I don't want to make other people feel sad, especially if they're still going through, their grief journey too. But I thought, you know what, if this person is reaching out, then why not? Because who knows, there could be healing for that person as well. And so I'm just glad we both decided to reach out and continue this. And I just think it's led to such a beautiful friendship, and I'm inspired by you. You have such a heart of gold, and I just know that you're going to do amazing things with the life that you've been given. And I can say with certainty that I know that everything that you are doing, your mom is so proud of you. And I know she would just be thrilled. And I know she is thrilled just to see what you're doing and the woman that you've become and how you're going to be changing. And you are changing so many lives by you being not only in the medical and health field, but also by you wanting to deepen that connection and that relationship with you and your family. And I know she's so proud of you. And so I just wanted to say thank you again for just making time, especially with this being Thanksgiving week, to be here and just share your story. And I want to thank all of you that have made the time also to join us and just listen in. And we hope that we've been able to help provide inspiration and encouragement of any and all kind. And again, Calbeth did write her information in the chat, her email and her Instagram page. That way, if you are interested in learning more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. And again, everybody, we just wish you a safe and blessed holiday week. And again, this is the healing journey home, just persevering through loss. And I just want you all to know that you can always come back home because you are your home. You are where everything starts. The healing starts with you. So just thank you, everybody. And if there's anything else that you'd like to say before we go off, Calbeth, please feel free to do so.
No, thank you so much for honestly, like just starting this platform. It's needed. It's greatly needed. So I know it's going to be truly amazing as you continue on with this journey. But yeah, thank you once again to everyone for joining us today.
But again, just thank you guys so much. I definitely want to do more of this in the future. I just look forward to seeing what you're going to do in the world. And just thank you, everybody. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see y'all soon.